Becky will know. I know it's been sitting there a couple of weeks, but I don't know. No, you got, I do the same thing.
So Don says he thought that we were just gonna go back to the old one. I thought we were revising what we talked about in executive session, but we can clarify that, but either way, as far as I'm concerned. It may be that we need to haul it all anyway.
We paid our, started paying bills last week, so.
That's good.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any creditor calls this week, so.
Now, so for my invoice, I just sent
Yeah, or send me, and I can get it to them, or just send it, just send it straight to James, that'd be the easiest way, cause sometimes when I'm not here, they put it in my box, and it sits back there.
I got it, I just emailed it to them.
Yeah, that's the best way.
And then obviously.
You probably realize it's sitting in my box.
If you have any questions,
But no, his name is, he's,
Pick up in
yeah.
the morning.
that's what I'm.
Fancier too.
It's on the lip. Uh-huh. It's probably gonna be pretty heavy this week.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I actually,
Have you ever walked with Tanya?
I think I have
You
some.
better, it's kinda like a guy, it's just kinda like a guy you used to fish with.
she's actually in
You
here
wanna
now.
go fishing? You better be ready to go
Yeah.
fishing.
She's,
She would walk in mountaintops. She would walk from one end of the mountaintops all the way to the end of the road and all the way back. Have you ever seen her calves? You ever seen her in a
get
pair
that
of shorts?
tomorrow, just cousin Amy's.
Her calves are up there ground.
I don't think you
That's
heard
all
me.
from walking. Literally, look at her calves
Or
sometimes.
maybe, you know what, yes.
Freaking huge,
Yeah.
man. How are you doing down there? Good, how are you? I'm sober.
Yes, yeah.
No, you're what?
I'm good. I still haven't found out which business you were talking
I have no idea either. We're just gonna let it ride
about. I am.
till we get another notice or something, because it's been very hectic at the house the last 2 or 3 weeks. I just left Piedmont. One of Tanya's good friends had a stroke, so we've been in the hospital with her all day. Yep. She's 56.
285. Just in time, right in the middle of Atlanta.
Don't know. But I've got to leave here when we're done and drive back to Piedmont.
Jennifer, are you recording already? Okay. Hey guys, everybody pull your mics up and speak into them, because I think Linda sent me an email. She's here tonight.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. She said nobody can hear anybody except me. So, so talk into your mic.
You sure you can't hear me? People tell me to shut up, so. Oh,
Can you hear me, Linda?
See? Are you trying to say that I've got a loud mouth?
no.
For whatever reason,
Okay.
the version Amy put in there did not have
Oh,
it. It was the old one.
oh,
So this is the one we
okay,
need to adopt.
okay,
That's what-
perfect.
That's the one with the upgrade in it that we
That's
talked
with
about?
the- That's with the condition.
Okay.
I just happened to be reading the back of my version. That's not the one.
Every little thing. I went to see that. Tanya wanted to watch that Bob Marley movie. And I went to see that thing. Craziest movie I've ever seen in my life. But all that's been in my head now for 2 weeks is every little thing gonna be all right now.
I know that song.
You know how something will hang in your head? Hmm? executive session? I have no idea. Oh,
It's under,
Oh, yeah.
it's at the end. We'll have that here. And then go back down.
it's a workshop, not an executive session, right?
Yep, that's correct.
This is yours.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wait, no, no.
I talked to Eric a long time ago about the bathrooms.
Okay, it is 6 p.m., so we will start the meeting. Let's begin the meeting by having a prayer and pledge of allegiance. Let's all stand, and Dr. Welly will lead us in both.
Father, once again, we just thank you for this great country that makes it possible for us to do as we do. And we thank you for our form of government where the citizens have us doing what we think is right for them. We ask you to bless the seasonal change as this town blossoms and bring the warmth of spring into our hearts. Make us grateful for this country and county and town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item is a public hearing, and this will be for a zoning ordinance amending the zoning map for the city of Blue Ridge by rezoning a parcel of land within the city of Blue Ridge. This one came before us last week. It's CHNA Holdings, and it's approximately 4.14 acres. Do you want to tell anything more about it?
Yeah, the only thing I want to,
Wait.
In the packet for tonight's meeting was a prior version of the ordinance which did not have the condition recommended by the Planning Commission to limit the property to office use. So I circulated to you guys the correct version of the zoning ordinance which does include that condition.
Okay, we are having, since it's listed as a public hearing, we'll have that. We'll
Yeah,
be up in.
I think we've already satisfied the public hearing.
Okay, so we're good on that. Yeah, since we will be having those with the planning commission as per the new ordinance. Of course, if the council chooses, they can have public hearings. Just because you have a minimum doesn't mean you can't have more than that. So I feel like the more you have, better transparency. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Can you hear me?
I don't think you're turned on.
Okay, there. I'll make a motion to approve the second reading for the rezoning for, where's the B? BR 2024-08.
Okay, is there a second?
Should be 7.
Second.
Hang on.
Yeah, it should be BR 2024-07.
Dash 07, okay. The one that was just circulated. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Bill Bivens?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
And Dr. Whaley?
Yes.
Okay? Motion passes, and Jennifer, I can sign that one whenever, if you want me to do that tonight. Okay, the next item is a consent agenda, and I do think we have a little discussion on this, so let's go ahead and have discussion about it before we approve the consent agenda.
All right. I think there may have been some confusion. I want the other members of the council to listen to me just a minute. I am of the opinion that the brief that we gave to the city attorney, and I do happen to have the draft of the minutes of the last meeting, and the motion that we made, as it appears in the draft agenda, the draft of the minutes of the last meeting was motion for the mayor to be substituted for the city administrator in the existing purchasing policy ordinance until a new purchasing policy is passed. My understanding was that it would be the entire old purchasing agreement, scratching out the mayor. Then the one that we got, and I've already talked to the city attorney here, and he didn't have any quarrel with it, but the trigger, in the old one, there was a trigger at $75,000 that required that a item be placed out for bid. There is no trigger in this, in the way it was written, and that is in our distribution. Now, the amount, of course, we lowered from 75,000 to 20. It's my suggestion that the trigger just be 20 instead of the 75 that's in the old one, because there needs to be some sort of instruction that says, now this is a $45,000 pickup truck, or it's a $45,000 ditch, so it's above the 20, and when do you decide that you put it out to public bid? That's the trigger. If the mayor can't sign, mayor or designee cannot sign over 20,000, used to be 75, when you hit that trigger, what happens next? Well, what happens next in the old one is it goes out to bid. So all I'm saying is we leave it like it is so that it goes out to bid, and then all the rest of the provisions about the local people and the 10%, and if there's a bunch of bids and they're no good, all those fallback provisions are still there. So that's the only thing I'm saying, was that provision was not in the redo, and the city attorney's happy with putting it back in there if we want it. So that's the story.
Yeah, and let me clarify, because I now understand, I think better what you were telling me. So recall at the last meeting, there were actually two things. One was we have the existing purchasing policy that was adopted whenever it was adopted, a couple of years ago. But that policy essentially assigned, the purchasing responsibilities to the city administrator. So without a city administrator, the question was, how do we move forward with making purchases? So my recollection, at least, is what the council did was, on a temporary basis, assign those responsibilities to the mayor per the existing purchasing policy. And that was done, and that's how we're operating right now. I understood further that the council wanted to entertain a revised purchasing policy, which I had circulated last week, and I thought my instructions were to cap it at $20,000, but to otherwise keep the revised purchasing policy the way it was for further consideration by the council. But I'm happy to prepare.
Well, the motion that was made and passed was existing ordinance. And the existing ordinance is the ordinance that I just referenced and have a copy of.
Yeah.
So that one that you have circulated does not meet the requirements of the vote and the brief that was given. And so the brief was the original, I mean, this ain't rocket science.
Well, I think
I think it's two different things.
Yeah.
I think we had to do something in the interim so that we could move forward with purchases.
I'm not worried about the interim. We've got that handled now. Well, all I'm saying is that if we go forward, then what we voted to do was go forward with the one we had, changing the mayor and changing the 20 to 75, which is easy, which I think's easy. It was my thought that that's what we were seeing, and the motion that was made was the existing policy. Now, this is not, it's not rocket science. My only suggestion is that if you don't have a trigger, that we are weakening, to my way of thinking, the controls built around the spending of our taxpayers' money. As long as we're good stewards of the money and we are honest about what we're spending, our monthly reports by Eric tells you every dime that came in from parking fines and everything else, and every dime that went out. I would like people to know that once we reach the limit that the authorized person, mayor or her authorization hits, which is 20, this is going out to public bid, and people who live in Blue Ridge and do business in Blue Ridge can bid on it. That's all I'm asking. That's what the old one says. no
Well,
reason to change it.
It
I-
seems logical to keep it,
Well, no,
because
no,
it worked
That's what the
very
motion
well.
was.
yeah.
The motion was to keep,
Mhm.
was the original, and I've got it right here in my hand. Now, I will also say, we have not approved those minutes. So that won't happen till the next meeting, but those are the draft minutes that were sent out. I did make a comment on the draft minutes. I'm sure if any other council member had a problem with those drafted minutes, they would have already responded to the city clerk. So I responded to the city clerk, asking her to insert one word where there was a typo, but at least I read them, and that they have not been approved. That's all I wanted to say. I don't think this is a big deal, but it's, what it is.
Well, and again, just so everybody's clear, what's in place now is the policy that was adopted 2 years ago. That is
Right.
what is in place as we sit here tonight. Per the motion that was made the other night, were the responsibilities for the city administrator are now the mayor's.
Right,
And that's how, as I understand it, we're operating right now.
right.
The next question, related question, but the next question is, does the council want to keep that policy in place, or do they want to have a different purchasing policy? And so we had prepared for a first reading, a different purchasing policy. And I thought my instructions were but to go back and revise that proposed new policy. Mind you, I don't care. I mean, that's y'all's
Yeah,
decision,
yeah,
what you want to do. I just want to
understand
make sure that,
Yeah, I understand that.
so if this
So
is,
my only statement is that I don't, there are 5 council members, I don't know exactly how everybody else understood it. But since I was involved in making the motion, I understood it, that we were scratching out the mayor, scratching out the city administrator, inserting the mayor and designated, lowering the amount to $20,000. And basically, otherwise, the purchasing policy would continue. And that's what we are operating under today, correct?
yeah, that's correct.
And that is, and that was, I was of the opinion that you were going to memorialize in legal language that decision and that intention, and we were gonna vote today, and there wasn't anything to it until I reviewed the one that you sent out. And all I noticed was it left out all of the triggers and all of those safeguards that are 2 pages long about how we safeguard the spending of the money.
Well, it is different, for sure.
Right.
And so.
It's not 10 pages, it's 3.
If it's not the wishes of the council to adopt that, then what I would recommend is that it be removed from the consent agenda, and then you guys give me whatever direction you want to give me in terms of, you want to keep what's in place, or do you want me to look at, once again, coming up with a different purchasing policy?
So we have a purchasing policy in place right now that we can work through until you get something else amended.
That was the reason the other night.
Right, we
to
did
put-
this so the city wouldn't shut down and we had somebody to take care of the
We
purchasing.
did a verbal.
Yeah,
And the rest of that question is there any reason to change the present purchasing policy and remove the trigger and the 2 pages of safeguards that, in my opinion, tell the citizens that they're gonna get a chance to bid on anything over $20,000, and that we're not gonna, we're gonna be rigidly transparent and continually good stewards of their money.
So I think the
And I happen
policy,
to have the old one here. It's not in any
Yeah.
of the material that you've been distributed.
and it is a very well-written policy that I think covers all the bases. So I think what we're trying to say is there's really no need to change except the amount. We all agreed 20,000. It still covers the bidding process, and all we would need to do is change it to say, instead of city administrator, mayor, or designees. If we hire another city administrator, that person can do that then, or whomever. Makes it pretty simple.
That's all I can say about it.
But we are functioning right now. We're paying our bills again, so that's all that matters right now. So what are your thoughts?
Well, they're still looking. Let's see what they come up with here.
Okay, so this was what was taken out?
That's, just slow right there.
Purchase at 175. Exemptions from payment.
You want me to read it?
You know what, if you want to, yeah. Yeah, just read what was taken out, yeah.
All
that'd
right.
be good.
Is it the will of the council that I raise?
Please.
All right, purchases of more than $75,000, we would change that, unless otherwise required by state law, any purchase in excess of $20,000 shall be approved and awarded by the city council in a regular special meeting unless it is made under a Fannin County State, Federal, GSA negotiated contract purchasing system, blah, 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 legal. Such purchase shall require formal competitive sealed bids, which shall be advertised in the county organ. However, any public works construction contract in excess of $100,000 governed by legal shall be advertised both in the Georgia Procurement Registry as prescribed in legal, as may be amended from time to time, and be advertised in the county organ prior to the date and time of public bid opening in accordance with state law. Notice of bids shall be advertised twice in the local newspaper. There are local newspapers here. I think it's a little ad there. Said notices shall appear in consecutive weeks. The city shall post all bid advertisements on the city's website and shall make an effort to distribute the bid ads directly to prospective bidders to encourage competition within the process. The city council shall have the right to accept or reject any or all bids, take whatever action they deem necessary, which is in the best interest of the city. The low bid is not necessarily the winning bid. The city may take into consideration other factors such as, but not limited to, history working with the bidder, the time of execution of the bid, or other factors that the city council will approve, which are in the best interest of the city. Following that are exemptions which are largely memorialized in the new one with minimal differences, but the headings of those exemptions are sole source, meaning that there is only one person that does that kind of work, professional services where only certain people have the ability, emergencies, which is, I think, memorialized completely in the new one, impracticality, meaning that it's impractical but not limited to situations where time constraints do not permit the preparation of clearly drawn specifications or situations. After competitive bidding, no bids meeting bid requirements are received, all compliant bids are received or are too high, or all bids are rejected for failure to meet the bid requirements, meaning they're non-compliant. And then it goes into the local business and so forth, which I believe is memorialized in the new one with exact wording. So that's basically what it says. It says the city council's in charge, and we're gonna get them, and people have a right to bid for them.
Okay, so I remember now, we changed, or we discussed moving it to 20,000 after, I guess, Rhonda had talked to some of the department heads. But originally, I had wanted it to go to 10,000, and if we go into 10,000 and left that in, that anything over 10,000, I mean, $10,000 stuff doesn't go out to bid. So saying even leaving it 20, are we going to bid everything out that's 20,000?
So I think
or
what,
over 20,000?
I think what you would do there, 20 to 75 is what you would approve at council meetings. And so it would be on probably a consent agenda. And then anything over 75 goes out to bid.
So under the existing policy, anything between, it's 5, right? Anything between 5 and 75, the city administrator could still do it, could still spend the money, but had to get at least 2 competitive bids. It wasn't that it came before council. It's just that anything between those thresholds, the city administrator had to get 2 competitive bids. Anything over 75,000 had to come back before the council. Now, there are state law requirements. For example, for public works construction, It's the threshold's $100,000. You could think of it as bricks and mortar. If it's bricks and mortar and it costs $100,000 or more, you've got to follow state law no matter what our purchasing policy says. Roads, streets, bridges, I think the threshold is $20,000. So if it's one of those items, you got to follow state law no matter what our purchasing policy says. So right now, we still have the same purchasing policy in place. Between 5 and 75,000 requires 2 competitive bids, but the mayor now has the ability to move forward with the purchase without bringing that back to council, just like the old policy, except what was the city administrator is now the mayor. What's in the packet is, I guess for lack of better words, a simpler policy. It just says that $20,000 or less, the mayor spends it. $20,000 or more, it comes to the council. And then there are some exceptions to that, which include, the things we're talking about, if state law requires otherwise, emergency purchases, professional services, the city attorney, architects, engineers, those kinds of things. But if we're not prepared to act on this tonight, again, my only suggestion would be to take it off the consent agenda and just table it until the next meeting. I mean, we're operating right now, so the city's functioning. And if y'all want to do something different in the way of a purchasing policy moving forward, just let me know.
I don't see any sense in not just adopting this the way just pick it up where it was, do what you've done with the 20 and the 70. And I'm not against letting the present policy up to 75 stay in place. I just want there to be a trigger. And I want the public to know that there's a trigger. I want us to make.
The trigger's $20,000, correct?
Well,
In the new policy.
the trigger this way would be 75.
I thought Chuck just said the trigger would be 20, it comes back to the city council, is that correct, in the new
No,
policy?
all of these bids come back.
In the new policy, in the proposed policy, yes, it's 20,000 and above comes to council. 20,000 or less is.
Well, that's what I said when I read this, was that the trigger would be 20,000. The mayor said, and he said, well, what about between 5 and 75? They still get 2 written bids and the mayor be able to approve 75. That's not the council approving it, that's the mayor or designee approving it. So that's why I said, when I read this, I put 20,000 in there, even though when I was reading said 75. I changed it in mine and said 20. So I am in agreement that if it hits 20,000, let it hit the trigger. And that's exactly what we asked to do, was change everywhere 75 is written down, change it to 20. And everywhere it says city administrator, change it to mayor or designee. And that would accomplish that goal.
So right now, anything up to 20, it's still the same, two quotes, and then she approves it, the mayor approves it. Anything over 20 then comes to the council. So I don't really see the need for all that. I wanted it to be simple, and that's what I was okay with it, so it's
So
just a
what are you
matter of
saying,
what.
the new policy,
It's
just go
gonna
ahead and
cover
adopt
the
the new policy?
council anyway. Once the bid's done,
Yeah, but
once the bid's taken, the council gets it. Or you're not taking the council out, you're putting the council in there with your, I don't think you understand what's going on here. Angie, one more time, what we have here, if there's a bid over 75,000 in the old style, it came to the council. If you change the 75 to a 20, it comes to the council. There's no place that you've taken the council out of here. I don't see, it makes no sense to me.
It's just more simple. It's just
definitely
simplified.
simple, it's definitely
it's-
simple,
well,
but
it's-
it doesn't appear to
It's
show it.
simplified, and I just don't really see, I personally don't see the need for all this, but it's up to, I think what he came up with was simple, easy,
That's
anything
not
over
what
20.
we asked him to
That's
do.
the new
That's not
resolution, is what you're
that's
saying,
not
Well-
the new purchasing policy.
What now?
That's the new purchasing policy you're talking about now.
And the new one is just simple, anything over 20,000 comes back
That's
to
what I
the
said,
council.
so you would rather just vote to put in the new policy, and that covers it all?
Yeah,
Is
I
that what
think-
we're saying here?
I think so, but I mean, again, it really, I guess it gets to the same place, but
Jack,
So may I
We've
ask,
got
what
one
is
that works
wrong
and
with
has
the
worked forever.
current policy? Because it covers everything we've just talked about. All you do is change the amounts, and
And this
then,
is what we're operating
it's
under
simple.
right now, and it's working fine.
Well,
so why recreate something when we've got it? We just have to change the names. I think we're overthinking this.
well, it's simple, but Chuck just said the other is simple too, and there is a lot of, there's 5 pages here versus maybe 2 pages or 3 of the other. I just don't really, I never really even understood why it had all this on here anyway, but, you know, I mean, if it's, we reduced it down to 20, and simply, everything outside of that comes to the council.
Angie, it comes to the council when the bids are done
Okay, you know
anyway.
what,
It's
just-
already comes, it doesn't change the council. You can say it
Wi-
comes-
wi- wi-
This
Until
is
we get
definitely
it,
not, you know, I just wanted the amount reduced, and you know, so.
until it comes to consensus of the council, I make a motion that we remove it from the consent agenda and table it for further discussion. That'll simplify the whole thing. We can talk
Okay,
about
well-
this in a workshop or
Okay,
executive.
I'll
session.
call for a motion in just a second.
Yeah.
So, is there any other discussion before we call for a motion? Christie, Bill?
Nope.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion, we remove it from the consent agenda and table it until further discussion is done.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Bill?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
And Dr. Whaley?
No.
Okay. Okay, I guess it will be removed at this point, and we will table that. So the only thing on the consent agenda at this point is a motion to adopt the retirement plan, and I'm sure we've all talked about that, so do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt the retirement plan.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Bill Bivens?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Dr. Whaley?
Yes.
Okay. The next item, what we all came here for tonight, is the downtown restroom project. And you all have packets on at your area. So let me give you an update. We spoke with the contractor who bid on this, one of the contractors who actually had the lowest bid the last time when we first sent out the bids. And he's been working with us on a reduction of the scope of work. So you have the new price set and the plans. Angie did want to see a larger, so I worked hard to get these plans today. So we all have big, you can see them if you want to. So basically, when we talked to Benning Construction, they said that, of course, this bid was done some time ago, but they've talked with all their subcontractors, everybody, the technical, everything, and most of the prices are similar, so they're willing at this point to hold firm to the price they gave us. They also, we asked them how many local workers this would include. So 25% of their workforce will be local, and that's good. I saw in the newspaper, Glenn, you asked about demolition. Yes, it is included in the packet, so demolition is part of that price. So I did read your paper today. So it's in there. So the demolition's part of that. They can start within 30 to 60 days, preferably at the beginning of April, and their projected completion of the entire project is about 4 to 5 months. So at least we would get finished by the beginning of fall if we approve this now. Now they will not, I don't think they, if we don't approve this and move forward, they're not going to hold these prices firm for us. And in fact, they may not even want to work with us anymore because we've put them off several times already, and they've put a lot of work into this. So if you guys had a chance to look over the plans, and do we have any discussion? And it is a one-story building. Again, we reduced the scope of the work.
I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
I write estimates every day for a living. That's what I do, insurance work. So I write multifamily buildings and write things up to $20 million. And the general conditions are toilets, when you're doing the job and other things like that. and $149,607 just in general conditions. That there's no quantification for it. There's just a number there. I would like to honestly see what they're spending all the money on in general conditions. Number two, there's a line item here for fee. The fee is $107,000, $107,094. $107,094. What is that fee for? So, I mean, I would like to ask a few questions if I could talk to these folks and find out exactly what they're charging $107,000 for in a fee and what that fee is and what it entails. As Doc has so graciously said, we are stewards of the city's money. And that's over $200,000
$156,000.
in just two items that we don't have any explanation of whatsoever. Now, some of the other stuff is pretty normal, concrete, rough framing, wood framing, I mean, those are all within line. HVAC's $99,000. I know we're talking commercial, so there's a difference in residential and commercial. But we're looking at almost $300,000 there just in those three items. And I would like an example or somebody to sit and show me what they're doing in those line items.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. I think if you look at general conditions, I just paid a sizable amount, not quite that much, to demolish my lake house. And there is no demolition line item here.
And that's my
except for
question,
digging
Doc,
up the
is does
asphalt.
that encompass
Yeah, I'm not against that.
demolition?
It does.
Well, I know that we were just told by the mayor that this covers demolition.
So here
I'm
is a
happy.
breakdown also of everything that's included in this. This was actually the specs for when it went out to bid. So most everything that you should see would be in here, and the approximate price for everything, including punch list, office expenses, grading backfill, storm drainage, all this. Everything is actually in this, which was the bid that did go out. This is the one from Castile, but it's actually the bid package. So if you want, I mean,
That's Castile, right?
yeah,
But this
but
is Benny.
it's in here. It's the same thing, it's the same specs, so.
Because those are the questions I have. I mean, if we're gonna spend $300,000 just on a line item, 3 line items, I'd like to know what they are and what they entail.
So what I would suggest on that, if you guys still have questions, let's all compose those questions. I can plan to call the contractor again, and if anyone would like to come in, we all can't meet together, but 2 of you could come in, and we could sit down, call the contractor again, and you could ask them any specific questions that you like. But if we're going to do this, we're going to have to call another special call meeting, because we need to get this approved if we're going to. They're not going to wait on us forever.
Understood.
So if you guys want to do that, I can maybe schedule a call for Monday with the contractor, or Friday, if they're available.
I can't give you an answer for Monday right now, the way
Okay.
my schedule is. I just
Okay.
can't do it. But I think there's some questions that need to be asked
Okay.
before I mean, I don't have a problem other than the questions I want answered. Because I see this all the time, and I see people slamming things in under a line item that has nothing to do with what we're doing, and we have no idea what they're spending that money on.
Okay.
Can
Well-
I ask the city attorney,
Yes.
can we pass this by telephone or email once she's got the questions answered, or do we have to be in the same spot at the same time?
We need to be in the same spot at the same time. I mean, now, once we've established a quorum, there are others that could participate by phone.
Could we do a Zoom meeting?
No, I don't, I think we need to at
After
least
the-
establish a quorum.
Okay.
So you need to have 3 people here at least,
That's right.
and the others could attend by telephone.
Once you've established the quorum, that's
Okay,
right.
got it.
Yeah, because Doc, we're looking at spending $997,955 of the city's money.
I'm with you.
Well, I just want to say that everybody just needs to be sure that this is the priority.
I agree.
Prioritize and figure out what is the most important to spend with our money. We've got roads that needs to be, I have complaints often about the roads, about the striping. The only roads that's got paved in 2 years is the downtown area. People's not really happy about that. So I would just say we need to think carefully and maybe even talk to, the street department and see, what's in the budget for some paving, because,
You're saying we need to prioritize.
we need to
So
prioritize.
let me go back and let's look at our budget that we approved last year. We actually have, does anyone remember exactly the amount that we have in for our paving? So we have so much money that is given to us through SPLOST. And that money has to be spent on capital outlay on infrastructure. So we have so much that has to go towards paving. We actually have a huge amount allotted, and if you will, I'll recall, we have a list that went out for bid, and you all tabled it and took it off. And that included sidewalks as well. So we have the money for both this project, we have the money for the restrooms that's coming out of Hotel Motel, which has to be spent a certain amount on tourism, and it's coming from the DDA's funds, which will be used towards this parking project, and that will cover it. So we don't have to take out a loan, we don't have to do anything for this money. We also have, I want to say, and I hate to even use this amount, 500,000 that we have for paving, and that could be incorrect. I will check tomorrow and get back with all of you. But we have a large sum that is set aside right now for paving. So we've got the ability to do all of these projects, and that's what's so good, that Eric has worked very diligently over the last 2 years to make sure that we have these funds to complete the projects we need to, including the stormwater project. We had $2 million for that. Had to get the loan for $2 million, I should say. But we had the rest of the money that we're able to use. So we have been good stewards of the taxpayers' money. So we're able to do the projects. If we keep putting them off, then the prices are only going to continue to increase. We've been working on these restrooms for years. And in fact, Angie, I believe you were on the council when you had a set of plans designed, and we spent a fortune on those and never went through with those plans. And now we've spent a fortune in these architectural plans, both on the original design and then this new design. So we have already put, I want to say, close to $50,000 in this. So why would we go through the steps of doing this if we're not going to do these projects? And those were some of your top priorities when we first came into office. So I think we need to make some good decisions, and if we need to talk to the contractors, let's do it, and then have another special call meeting. But let's get this completed if we're going to. If not, let's not even talk about it again.
Getting back to the paving, is there a prioritized list of roads to be paved?
There is.
Okay.
Remember, you guys voted to allow
Well, I
Carter
talked
and
to
Sloop
Eric
to do
because
that.
There was
Yep.
one person that called me many times, and called Christie and called Angie, and
Yeah.
they said there was one part that they were gonna pave the whole road instead of just filling up potholes.
So what they tried to do when Carter and Sloop came in and looked at these plans with Eric, what they did, they went through and prioritized based on what needs to be paved, where sewer needs to be added. They took in many factors to determine where we start with our road projects, not just randomly, let's go pave something. And I know 76 has been a point of contention, and I have I've actually talked to the crews about that, and I think what we're going to do is, because we've got to pave that road, but it still is very vital that we get it striped right now. So we're going to use a cheaper grade of paint that will last maybe a year or two until we can get it paved, and then we'll put the really good paint on it for striping. But we do feel that is a priority. So I think if we look at what Carter and Sloop has done, and then we take all of our needs ourselves, we can kind of assess, and just instead of randomly paving things that are going to be torn up. That doesn't make any sense either. And that's what's happened over the years. So. But there's money for all of it.
And you're gonna have those figures to us tomorrow, you said? The money that's allotted for all that?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll have James send that out to you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
So. And
So we
don't
need to
quote me
table
on
this,
all
we need a
that.
motion, what do we need to do here?
Those numbers, because, yeah, I'm not a numbers girl, so, but I know it's there. Okay, do we have a motion to table this? And then we'll schedule a meeting that's within the next week at least.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Do you have a
Okay,
motion?
I'll just jot our concerns down and talk to him.
Yeah.
and- Yeah.
And then whoever wants to come in and meet, we can call him, just two of you though, but you can pick two delegates
Are
will
you gonna
come in.
choose a date now, or are you gonna wait till?
I would like to. When's a good, is a week from today good for you guys?
For another special meeting, or
Wednesday
to talk
for
with
Yeah,
these
just a
people?
special meeting, and then we can meet with them Friday or Monday. I can't tomorrow, but I need to probably check with them and make sure.
Now, are we talking about having a meeting on this, or are we talking about talking to the contractor on this first?
A meeting with the contractor is what he's talking about,
No.
and then our
Yeah,
meeting
talking to the
with all of
contractors
us may
first,
be
and
next
then-
Thursday, so Dr. Whaley will be here.
I think the questions I have are real simple. I want some enlightenment on the line items that are so high that have nothing in them as far as, you know, you're spending $149,000 on what?
Okay.
That's $355,000.
Let's shoot
Yeah.
for,
And I just have some concerns about that, I mean, some questions about the design of it. I mean, I'm very, very adamant about, you know, stalls been wide enough, you know, lots of stuff. So I just need to talk to someone to see.
so you can call the architect, he's on there, that's who you guys have been
Okay.
working with, so. But let's plan for that on Monday, that will give me time to contact, Benning Construction, and then hopefully their schedules will allow for a Monday meeting. And I'll let you guys know what time, and then the rest of you, whoever wants to meet with me, just let me know, and we'll call them. Who wants to come in and meet with me on Monday and call them?
I'll be coming back in town on Monday, so
Okay.
I won't be here
Okay.
until Monday.
Angie, do you want to come in,
Monday,
or Tuesday? Anybody?
I'll let you know. I've got something.
I'm the
lined up.
same, I've got so much going in my
Okay.
schedule.
Yeah.
So,
Get back on the
yeah.
first.
Okay, just give me your questions. Just email me your questions, and I'll make sure Eric and I will call them again and make sure, because I'll see if he will meet with me, since he's kind of overseen this project from the beginning. Hopefully he'll come in with me,
Yes,
so.
it's gonna
But
be
we will
Monday
get to meet
before.
with them, though, or I should just call the architect.
Call the architect
Is
about
that
the
the local
plan.
one here?
No, it's on the,
Oh, we changed from,
design,
we changed?
so.
Monday the 4th.
It's Philip Walker,
Yeah, we must have changed.
so.
We changed them, yeah, okay.
But no, and then we'll have to have a special call meeting maybe next Thursday to approve the plans, but you don't have to come for that, so. Okay,
So you need a motion to table?
please.
I make a motion, we table this until further discussion.
Okay, I believe we've not voted on this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, just raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, Jennifer. Okay, I believe we do need executive session, so do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. And I'll leave these here for you guys too. Christy, if you guys want to come by and check these out. You can see them a bit better. Yeah. So these are not the most clear because I didn't get them direct from the architect. I actually asked a friend to help me print them today. It was actually, yeah, it was actually Drew Dyer. He said he would reprinted them, but he said they're not spit. Yeah.